was in a kind of literary ambience. I was more concerned with the music of Wagner and Debussy and so on than the music my father had played. So I'm well aware of this dangerous education. You cut yourself off.
Catholicism was a very powerful influence on you, was it, as a child?
I think yes, it was. It was a kind of Northwestern Catholicism. It was conceivably Anglo-Saxon. It was Anglo-Saxon Catholicism that had not been touched by the Reformation, but it had to be reinforced by marriage into Ireland and by having Irish priests, Irish bishops and so forth. But yes, it meant a great deal to me when I was young. I believed in hell, and I believed that the host was really the body and blood of Christ. I accept what the priest said. And this fear of hell still persists.
Still persists in you?
I've no means of proving it does not exist. I gather our present Pope, well, I know that our present Pope, John Paul II, before he goes off to Castel Gandolfo for the summer, usually comes out with some minor bombshells. Hell still exists, don't forget that. He probably does.
Are you a believing Catholic?
No, I don't think I am. But I don't know what the term means, you see, because if for several generations or even centuries the religion has been instilled into a family, it's in your bloodstream. It's very hard to get rid of.
You're not a practicing Catholic?
Well, when I go to Italy, I meet a few priests who I admire and like, and I go to their little Renaissance churches to hear Mass in Italian.
You hear Mass?
Hear Mass.
Yeah.
Well, to participate.
Do you go to confession?
No longer. No, this is bad. I suppose one should go to confession, but I don't know. I don't think I can. I think that I'm probably right in being a little scared of all organized religion now.
Why do you call your, I think, marvelous autobiography Confessions? Why do you call that The Confession?
Well, exactly. That's a very shrewd point to make. I am, in fact, confessing. This is a kind of literary equivalent of going into the confessional and saying, bless me, Father, I have sinned. Off we go. I think it's one of Graham Greene's characters.
Can you get absolution from the general public?
Probably not. Not from a Protestant general public. I've had odd letters absolving me from the crimes I was present in the book. I don't know. I think the confessional tradition in literature, as well as in religious life, is probably a good thing. We burden our minds with past sins, regrets, all kinds of inhibiting forces. It's probably best to get them out occasionally. The confessional is probably a very good institution. Nowadays we have the psychoanalyst, which costs more.
Do you still feel guilty?
Oh yes, guilty as hell.
Yeah. What about?
I don't know. The fact that I don't know what I'm guilty of, probably for not treating people well, not treating my wife well, and so forth, not treating other people well. But I think I'm inclined to get back to the old Judeo-Christian doctrine of original sin, which seems to me to explain the guilt. We're born with something guilty in us, which then finds rationale, in Auschwitz or what you will. The guilt is there, waiting for a subject to, as it were, justify it.
Do you accept, and does that help you to an understanding of other people's guilt, as it were?
I think it does. It also means that one is never really surprised at what happens. One was terribly surprised.
Betrayed, ever?
Betrayed? I think we're always betrayed. We must always expect betrayal at some time or other. One must not expect too much. This is because the guilt in oneself does relate to the imperfections of oneself, which are part of the human condition.
In the autobiography, there's a very frank account of your relationship with your first wife.
Yes, indeed.
Were you more hurt by that, in fact, than you let on in the book, or not?
I suppose, yes, I think you're right. I think one way of, as it were, shedding the sense of betrayal was to get it on paper, where it becomes something else. On the other hand, we're all free. My first wife was Protestant Welsh. And the Welsh, I think, on the whole, are more sexually given than other Celts. I mean, the Irish drink, the Scots drink. They're not a very sexually minded race, either of them. The Welsh are given to that. My first wife honestly believed that free, indiscriminate sexual congress was not a bad thing, because this prevented one from identifying with love. She said love was a different thing altogether. She may have been right, but as we know, when we see, then the knife comes out. We can't so easily overcome our primitive instincts. Yes, there is a certain measure of sense of hurt, betrayal, but this is all over now.
You say somewhere that one of the reasons you live in Monaco is that it's a Catholic place and that there's a sense of homing about it. Is that serious?
It's one of the reasons. When I married again, I married into Europe. Yes, there's a certain sense in which that is true, that if one hears the Angelus bell at 12 and sees people occasionally making the sign of the cross, you feel you're home. I've never had much pleasure in travelling to the Protestant south of this country. I feel that London is an alien city in some ways, a Protestant city, with a Protestant monarch.
Try Kilburn.
Well, I know.
But Monte Carlo seems to some of us a sort of camp for rich, displaced persons.
Monaco?
Yes, rather than a home. There's not something in that? A lot of exiles there.
Yes, a great number of exiles. On the other hand, it is a genuine Catholic principality, where I feel a little at home. Unfortunately, what you say is true. There are too many exiles from Milan, indeed from England, people with money. I gather there's one policeman to every 5 inhabitants. That's to protect wealth. I'm not wealthy being a writer. But one has to live somewhere, and to go into the reasons why I'm there would take too long. But the fact is, I was living in Italy with my wife and our son is going to be kidnapped. I was told this by an ex-mafioso, and so we got into the car and ran to the next state, which happens to be Monaco. Simple as that.
You said Europe, and you have a great sort of sense of Europe.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
And try to bring that into your books.
I think so. Of course, we're all going to be Europeans. We're already supposed to be Europeans. We're all going to be very genuinely Europeans very soon. I don't think the English are ready for it.
Do you feel that more than feeling English?
Yes, I think that must be so, because my family was never part of the Reformation. We never had any part in the English Reformation. We had no part in Henry VIII's church. And indeed, when James II was driven out of England, we lost our last Catholic monarch. My father always said to me, son, he said, don't give allegiance to any monarch, a Hanoverian Protestant. Your last monarch was James II. This ran in the family, and it may seem romantic and stupid. Ober and War would certainly say so, but I can assure you it's genuine.
What do you enjoy about living in Monte Carlo?
Not very much. I enjoy... what do I enjoy? I enjoy going to the casino. I enjoy seeing the valley. I enjoy breathing in the polluted Mediterranean. But the principality itself is becoming, full skyscrapers, it's becoming a commercial centre. It's becoming, as you suggest, a boat hole for people.
Do you feel English still?
Oh, yes. I think the more one lives abroad, the more one tends to emphasise one's Britishry or Englishry. I come back to England for very small things like English sausages, English cheese, English beer, pubs and the like.
Might you come back and live here?
To die here, undoubtedly. I suppose the time is coming to think about that. And my family is buried up in Manchester, Mostyn Cemetery. I might be ready there. I don't know. But this is a problem that faces one in 170s. One, obviously, by any actuarial standards, has not long to live. So one had better start thinking about that. Was it Jung who said it's stupid, it's neurotic to avoid the subject of death in old age? I think he was right.
Do you think about death a lot?
A good deal, yes. A good deal.
Every day?
Every morning, yes. I think one has stupid ideas. I feel sorry for my heart. My heart has been beating for 72 years. I've got a break, I've got a rest. It seems unfair to a heart. I mentioned this to a doctor who said, don't worry about your heart. Your heart likes doing that.
But press release about any old iron, you actually tell us that your heart is pumping away quite merrily.
It's something away, certainly.
And you tell us that your sex life is still very strong.
Strong enough, yes. And not so strong as that of younger people, but I think the sexual instinct is very slow to be killed.
In your the novels that you wrote when you were in the colonial service,
yes,
in Malaya,
mm-hmm,
there's a very particular sense of being in a particular place at a particular time.
mm-hmm.
Has that gone from your writing with this search for a wider scope?
Hard to say. I must leave that to you and the critics. But indeed, you're right to mention this beginning, because I had a very strong feeling when I began to write and publish fiction that here was a place which was going to disappear from the British consciousness before long, namely Malaysia, and it had to be written about. I suppose there was a kind of deliberate attempt to encase the atmosphere of the place in fiction. I knew it had been done by William Somerset Maugham already, but good as he is, and as much as he's recognised as, as the real fictional authority on Malaya, he never knew the people, he never knew the language. I did, and I was able to write from the inside.
Was writing that sort of novel a different sort of activity from writing the grand, ambitious novels of your more recent work?
I suppose one can say that, I suppose every novelist feels, every young novelist feels that it's great fun. The writing of fiction is great fun at first, because you're inventing characters, you're manipulating them, sense of power, a sense of delight in manipulating language.